Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome you to the not so new, but definitely improved, off-grid, EcoFlow powered Cascade Heavy Rescue World Headquarters. Now this video is sponsored by EcoFlow, and of course they always want me to put their logo on the screen right here while I tell you that, but I'm not quite technically savvy enough to do the whole overlay thing, so here is their logo on the screen while I tell you that they're sponsoring this video. So we're gonna go over what we got set up here, how all this stuff works together, what we still got to change and update because this is nowhere near a finished setup yet, and then of course we're going to go over the star of the show, which is right here in this little box right here, and that is the EcoFlow Alternator charger, totally modified by me to be used in a way that they never intended. Now that was one very long intro with no cuts in it at all. Definitely not Mr. Beast approved, but I like to do things the way I like to do things. Let's take the tour. Okay, deep breath. That was a lot. This building, this has been here for obviously as long as we own the property, well, longer than we've owned the property. It's mainly just been a storage shed. Totally unfinished on the inside, you know, no paint on the walls or anything like that, but the rooms and the walls were there. As you could see, probably through the window right there, mainly it's just been used for storage, but recently my wife, her kind of birthday present to me, got the walls all painted up. She marketplaced me a desk, a chair, most importantly a dog bed. We're turning this into my office. I don't know if that is because she wanted me to have an office of my own so bad, or she's trying to get me and all my gear up out of the house. Either way, we've got this all set up. Very nice setup now, as you can see. Plenty of storage for little bits of gear and stuff and camera pieces and all the things. I even got over here set up like a camera on a tripod that's all angled just right so that when I'm sitting in this chair I can talk to it, you know, and it seems all professional like. But two problems. Number one, those windows with no cover over them totally blow out that camera and make a big like white behind me because the sun normally comes from that direction. Problem number two, why we can't use that right now, is I realize I don't have a memory card for that camera. So that's on hold. But the one problem with this office is that my house is way over there and the office is way right here. There's no power in between the two. And of course, I have things I need power for, like a light, my computer, charging my phone, charging camera gear, stuff like that. Now luckily, for quite a while now, I have partnered with a little old company called EcoFlow. They make power stations and all kinds of other stuff here. They're expanding their product line rapidly into a direction I really like. But this right here is the Delta 2 Max. It's a 2,000 watt hour power station that is running everything you see in this room right now. The computer is on and charging. As you can see right there, the phone charging, camera charging, light on, fridge running, air conditioner and heater not on, but charging, as you can see right there. All being run off this one little old power station. Now, the problem is obviously the power has to come from somewhere, and that is where this right here is going to help us out. Now, traditionally, there's been three different ways to charge these power stations. You can plug them right into a wall, charge them up, take them where you need and use them. You can charge them directly off of solar, and you can charge them off of your 12-volt outlet in your vehicle. This right here adds a fourth, well, let's call it 3.5 because it still uses 12 volt from your vehicle, just in a very different way. But first, a tour of the office and how we have it set up right now. As I said, things are going to change as we finish this out a little more. But as you can see, you come in the door, there's the office, and we're right back to the door. That's the whole thing as far as the office tour. Now for how we have it set up. This is the EcoFlow Wave 2. It's a heater and air conditioner. Thermostat controlled, runs right off the app on your phone or the buttons on here. It's also a fan just to circulate the air if you know you will stuff in a small space like this. It is sitting on its extra battery pack that you can see is nice and full here. I'm blanking on the runtime off the top of my head, you know, on an average day, but I'll put that right down here below so you can see. We've got it vented out through the windows in a kind of temporary fashion because, like I said, we're still figuring out how we're going to set all this up. This might end up going to actual vents through the wall with, you know, this screen louvers things on the other side to be a little more professional. But for now, it works. Next to that, we have the Delta 2 Max. I explained that a little already. It's got 4 USB-A ports here, 2 100-watt USB-C ports right here. I got one charging a camera right now, one charging my phone. On the back side here, we have our AC in right here if we want to plug this thing into AC power to charge it. We have our solar input going right here. We have 6 AC power outlets. And down here, I don't know if you can see, there it is. We have the 12-volt cigarette style lighter socket that I love so much and apparently Chevy doesn't. Over here on the side, come on in, Rusty. Come on in, come on in, good boy. Most important part of this office, we've got the dog bed right there. Over here on the side, we've got the smart cord. This is a DC to DC cord that can run between the units extra battery packs. That DC cord can plug straight into the Wave 2 here. It also plugs into the smart generator, which we're going to show you in just a minute. Now down here, also running off of the 12 volt of this unit, is the EcoFlow Glacier. You can see this is running on its own too right now, or not on its own, it's running off of this, but has the capability to run on its own. We got 32 degrees on one side, 33 on the other. Divider can come out to make it one big compartment if you want. And then you got an ice maker over here, so you can throw some ice in your favorite refreshments. Now, of course, all these are ways to pull power out of that Delta unit, but the big question is, how do we put power back into it? So on the back side, you saw there's solar, there's AC, and then on the side there's the DC to DC smart cord. That's the important one here. And that's where the EcoFlow Alternator Generator comes in. Now for now, since temperatures have been pretty mild, we haven't been running the AC or the heater very much, we haven't quite needed that. I've got solar coming in right here. Like I said, all fairly temporary till we get figured out exactly what we're gonna do, because that solar comes all the way around here and is actually plugged into the solar panels that are on the roof of my EcoFlow powered camper right here. Now let's go up here and take a look. See, I've got these two, very dirty, I need to clean that. 100-watt solar panels mounted up here. Those go down into my camper, keep everything charged in there when we're out camping in this thing, or usually I use it for road trips. Let's go see how much power those things are actually pulling in right now. So that solar, as you can see, is bringing in 120 watts. We're currently using 8 watts of DC power, 41 watts of AC power. And we're at almost 52%, and with that little bit of power coming in right now and that much power going out, we currently have 20 hours until this is fully charged. And that solar's been doing really good at keeping up with keeping this stuff charged up, keeping the fridge running, and keeping all my stuff right here going. But that's been with very minimal use of this due to the mild temperatures we've been having. Once this thing kicks on and starts running full time with the air conditioner, that runtime is not going to last so long, and that's where the smart cord right here comes in. You see that smart cord comes out right there through my little temporary pass-through, comes around here to the EcoFlow Smart Generator. I currently have it running off propane. It also runs off gas. It's a dual fuel that automatically switches back and forth, and that's very handy. Now, once that Delta 2 unit gets down to 30% battery, this generator automatically fires itself back up, charges it back up to 100%, and shuts itself off. Now, the more solar we have, the less this will run. The more power demand we have with less solar, the more this will run. The very handy thing about this generator, and by the way, this is also capable of being used as just a standard AC generator like any other. I believe it's 1800 watts, somewhere in there. But the handy thing about this is it's only running when it needs to make power. So you're running off your battery bank in there. When your battery bank drops down, generator kicks on, very efficiently charges it back up, shuts itself back off, you continue to run off battery. Almost like another company that we all know and love. Hi, Rusty. So that is an incredibly efficient setup that gives a little boost to that as needed, all dependent, of course, on the solar and the amount of usage. But you keep seeing that alternator generator in there, and how does that fit into this? Well, I'm going to tell you. So we're over here at my Western Star, and as many of you know, I have a microwave right up there in the headache rack of my Western Star, and the EcoFlow Delta 2, not the Max, just the normal one, normally sits in that spot right there and powers my microwave so I can eat when I'm out on the road. I took it out, set it right here on the trailer just so you can see this whole setup better, not kind of cramped up in there, purely for visibility purposes. You're welcome. So to show you what I've got going on here, first I need to explain the way this is meant to be used, that I'm not using it. The truck is so excited to show you the alternator generator that it just popped its battery box open all on its own like that. That's how cool this setup is. Now I obviously completely changed that around here, but luckily about 3 weeks ago when I was first starting to set this up and mess with this thing, I was smart enough to film this little clip right here. Because we're in the shop and I figured I should show what I'm doing right here because I'm modifying this whole system, and if I'm going to show you like what you'd be getting, I should probably show it to you before I completely modified it, but I'm a little too late here. Either way, this is the EcoFlow alternator charger. As you would get it, you can see it's not that big at all. It's just barely over 1 inch thick, about the size of a small notepad. I bet if I really tried, yep, I can palm the thing. So it's not that big of a unit, but super easy to mount on the wall of your van, vehicle, RV, wherever you're using it, camper. But it comes with this cable here. And let me spin you around so I can show you better. This is the EcoFlow cable with the end on it, right there, that would plug in right here. And the other end, which is right here, normally has these battery terminal ends on it. That was there. I chopped it off, as you can see. And you would just wire this straight up to your battery. That way it's fed by the alternator and all is happy. But I can't leave anything alone, so I'm chopping all that up. And as I'm looking in the screen right there, I'm realizing that you don't need to worry about that because that is for a future video. So we'll turn you back around. Okay. Anyway, I also went to Harbor Freight, got myself a set of jumper cables. Again, cut one end off, soldered on the same style connector so I can plug these into this. And future Casey will explain to you how all that works. Now, one thing I'm sure you're gonna say is, but Casey, now you don't have your jumper cables. Well, two things. One, I could put another one of these plugs on that end. That's why I left them as long as I did. Plug it back in together, I have my jumper cables back. Two, this right here is gonna make it so you don't even need jumper cables. So I've heard, but haven't tested yet. I'm sure future Casey will tell you all about that. And we're back. So, what I've got going on here is obviously jumper cables. We can pull these out, take these right over to our truck batteries here, or whatever batteries we're hooking this onto. We just clamp onto some positive there, some negative there. Come back over here. Do I have the two plugged in together? No, I don't. So let me do that. Watch, it's like magic. So we now have power going from the truck itself, and the truck is supposed to be running for this part to actually make this function and operate. But to show you what we got going on here, I'm keeping it off because, you know, that's noisy. So this is my little modification part where if this would be hardwired and mounted into somewhere, take the battery cables out, take out the other end of your smart cord, pop it out of your power station, and plug it right in. Now, when your vehicle is running, you're charging your power station off the 12 volts being put out by your alternator at up to 800 watts. Now, the normal 12 volt outlet in there, a high powered one, is 100 watts. This is 8 times as fast as that if you've got the capability to run that off your vehicle. Disclaimer, all vehicles' charging systems are different. All vehicles operate differently. Your mileage may vary on the actual amount of wattage your vehicle puts out into your power station, but either way, it's a hell of a lot faster than plugging it into a 12 volt outlet. Now, the reason I made this little temporary setup here in a Harbor Freight box instead of hard mounting this to the truck like you're supposed to, and this is mounted into the bottom of the box so that's secure there, is I don't have a single vehicle I want to dedicate this thing to. I could be wanting to use it in the headache rack of this truck here to keep the Delta 2 charged to run my microwave and the battery chargers for all my tools and equipment on this truck. I could be wanting to use it in my little camper right here out on a road trip or camping trip. And that little camper could be in the back of this truck, or in the back of this truck, or even on the back of that truck. So right there's 4 different vehicles that I could want to use this setup with. So instead of hard mounting it to one, I just made a portable setup that can clip right onto the battery cables of any of them. Now, if you were going to mount this in a vehicle, installation could not be simpler. There's 2 bolt holes right here. You mount it to whatever you're going to mount it to. This cord right here is your battery to your vehicle, positive and negative. 2 little bolts, plug in, done there. And this one right here goes to your power station. And it simply plugs in, that's it, you're done. And then as a bonus, if I need to fast charge my office for some reason and my little generator is off out doing something else, I can pull any of my vehicles right up here where I'm going to park anyway, plug it right into the Delta 2 Max in there, charge everything up. Now, if you remember from that clip I showed earlier from a few weeks ago that you saw a few minutes ago where I said it's okay that I lost my jumper cables to make this setup because This little guy right here has one more trick up its sleeve. Well, that's because it has one more trick up its sleeve. And that is, you can go into the EcoFlow app, pull that unit up, reverse the flow from your alternator to your power station. This becomes a jump pack that takes the battery power in your power station, flows it right back into your batteries to jumpstart your vehicle. Actually make that two more tricks up its sleeve, because this little guy right here also has a maintenance mode. And in maintenance mode, when your vehicle's off, parked, not doing anything, the maintenance mode can take a trickle charge out of your power station here and slowly reverse feed a small current back in there to keep the batteries of your vehicle topped off and healthy. That's 3 functions in one out of that little tiny box. It's the charger to charge up your power station, it's your jump starter, and it's your battery maintainer. Now the real question is, where would something like this be useful? And as a trucker, as a camper, as someone doing property maintenance type stuff, I see a lot of uses for this. Like this RV right here, it currently, for electrical power in this, has solar on the roof that does its 12-volt batteries. That's fine, but for 120-volt power, if we're not somewhere where we can plug into something, it's got this generator unit down here that is probably locked. Yes, it is, but either way, there's a generator. Now, if we want to use the toaster, my wife wants to use a hair curler or something like that, we got to fire up this big generator and run it the entire time, even though we are using a fraction of the power that's coming off of it. It's incredibly inefficient, incredibly expensive. You got to maintain it, you got to fuel, oil, all the things to use just that little bit of power. Which is why Winnebago RV, this is not a Winnebago, I kind of wish it was, partnered with EcoFlow to remove the generators from their newer RVs and replacing them with EcoFlow battery banks and power solutions. Those things run all the AC 110 power, no noise, no wasted fuel, no extra maintenance, none of that stuff. Quiet, simple, all the power you need. And trust me, after everything we've gone through with this RV that we finally got straightened out and working good, I really wish I had that set up. Now, as a trucker who used to do over-the-road type of trucking and be gone in the truck for months at a time, I don't do that stuff anymore. Now it's gone for a night or two at a time. I think just only overnights is all I've done, but power in a truck is a big deal. Yes, you can run inverters, but inverters only make power right now when the truck is running. Microwaves, air fryer, fridges, all those things would be so nice to not have to start up the truck to run. And with that EcoFlow setup, you can have the power station there, run your microwave, run everything you need, and then when you're driving the truck up and down the road, it rapidly recharges it all, so you're good to go. Now, I am not a contractor, but I do some property maintenance from time to time and build things, as you can see by this beautiful chicken coop right here. I think I could go pro. But when you're creating absolute top quality craftsmanship like this, you need a lot of power. You got to run chop saws, you got to run skill saws, you got a lot of tools you need to keep charged, keep running, keep going. A lot of contractors, they bring a little Honda 2000 generator, they run that thing all day long. Again, even though they're only using a fraction of the power or only using power at a fraction of the time. You have something like that smart generator set up right there, hooked to a power station, or a power station hooked to that alternator charger in your vehicle. You can run silently off of that. As you need the power, the generator can fire up, or if you're running off the alternator charger in your vehicle, drive to lunch and back, you got enough charge to get through the rest of the day. It just makes sense. Now, as some of you know, I started off with a different power station company. Always want to be able to do that in my own office. Now, thanks to my wife and her work here, I can. Thank you, babe. Some of you may know that I started off with a different power station company. Used them, it was okay, gave an honest review on it. Wasn't the best, wasn't the worst, but after a whole lot of research, I switched to EcoFlow, and am I ever so glad I did. Because the direction EcoFlow's gone and the products they've come out with since then that take them so much farther into that outdoors, camping, van life, trucking, RV world, works so perfectly for me and what I do. Like I said, I have the one in the truck pretty much full time. It allows me to do things like have this off-grid office that has not only power, but heat, AC, fridge, everything I need, all with an ecosystem where the products work together to actually make each other work even better. So if you want to get in on the EcoFlow action, click the links down below in my description where you can get any of the Delta Series power stations plus the alternator charger for 25% off. And if you do it in the pre-order period, which is now until June 1st, you also get a free solar panel to go along with them. And if you put this code right here in, that'll also be down in the description for you. It gets you an extra 6% off anything on the EcoFlow website until June 29th. But as far as this office, I told you it's not done yet. My daughter's getting together a bunch of her artwork she's going to put on the walls here to help me decorate. We're going to get some more shelving in here, can put some of the camera gear on, stuff like that. I'm not sure exactly how all this is going to go. None of this is going to stay here permanently. It's going to stay in the office permanently, but where is going to depend on what I end up doing for solar out here. Because I want to get bigger solar panels that aren't on my camper. And I don't know if on the roof of this is best or on the flatter roof of this right here is best. Now, if we're going to use the roof of this, that stuff will probably go down in the corner right here and come in from the side here. If it's going to go on this one here, it's probably going to go underneath in from right here. So that's going to kind of change where this stuff will sit. The pass-through on the window here, again, not permanent. I think once we find a home for this down low, like maybe back in that corner right there, these vents will go out through some dedicated vents through the wall with, you know, the screen and the little louvers on the outside so the rodents don't get in. So I've still got some work to do on finishing out how this is. It's really temporary for now. The generator is not going to sit out here in the sun forever. It's been there for a couple weeks now, and it fires up every once in a great while and does its little thing, shuts itself off. It needs to be in an enclosure, but it also needs to be close enough for that smart cord to reach, because the one thing is I could use extension cords and run it hundreds of feet away, but then it won't do the auto on thing. It needs the smart cord to do that. So definitely want to get a bigger solar setup dedicated to this office so that in the summertime when it's 100 degrees out here, I can keep that air conditioner going full bore without having to run that generator a whole bunch. But as you can see right there, the family is home, which means I am done with this video. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you to EcoFlow for sponsoring yet another one of my videos. And thank you to my wife for turning this shed into an office so I have my own space to work, or maybe just to kick me out of the house little by little. Let me know what you think below. We'll see you next time.